cars are worse for society than motorcycles in almost every single factor. There's gonna be three main reasons as to why. The first reason will be just general interactions, day in, day out interactions, right? You're in your car, you're driving, you're disconnected from everyone. You have your glass box, you have your own music, your own climate control. It can be hot, cold, sunny, cloudy, anything. And you are disconnected. You are not with anyone else around you. You are in your own space with this vehicle. Well, something like a bike, I'm not. If it's raining outside, I'm getting rained on. If it's cold outside, I'm being cold. If it's hot, it's hot. I am in full interaction with what's around me. So that means people who are also walking, other motorcyclists are with me too, because we're all suffering together. And on top of that, I am more in tune and notified of my surroundings as well because of it. Much like I said with interactions, cars make people angry. They cause anger because, again, they are separated from the human aspects of these machines. You are in your perfect glass metal box, just like everyone else is. And if they make a mistake, you will notice. And you're not gonna think the driver. You generally think the car. You were mad at the car for doing that, not this individual that did that. If they cut you off, going too slow, or even just speeding in general, even if it does not bother you, they get you mad at that. While on a bike, that's just not happening. People are not getting as mad on bikes. On average, they are generally seen as a very pleasurable, fun thing to ride, even on a shitty day. And if someone does something stupid on a bike around you, other motorcycles, generally speaking, they don't get as mad. They understand mistakes happen. That's just part of being on a bike. Mistakes are gonna happen, people cut you off. And it's much easier to have this human talk if someone doesn't, because you are not protected by this bubble. So you can pull up next to them and say, hey dude, that wasn't cool. Well, in a car, you're in this glass box and they can just roll their windows up, ignore you, turn their music up and ignore you. They are protected from their own poor decisions, which have caused more anger now. Another big thing that is brought up when it comes to the bikes and their contribution to society is the connection. There's always a connection with bikes. This Harley Davidson will never go as fast as a leader bike, but I can tell you, I know that sensation. Going from a leader bike to this hot bike, the sensation of twisting that throttle and just feeling that pull is like no other. And bikes understand no matter what bike you're on. It can be a tiny Grom to this big old thing to a leader bike. But the connection doesn't stop there. It stops with weather. I can have a $50,000 Harley Davidson Road Glide CVO and I will still have the same shitty cold experience if it is pouring rain outside as the guy on a $3,000 Facebook Marketplace special mystery bike. He has no clue if it's gonna turn on tomorrow morning. We are sharing this connection of suffering. We're both in the same suck. Or if the weather is phenomenal, it's a great day out. Same story. He's experienced the same great weather as I am, even though we have totally different vehicles. That is not gonna happen with a car. The guy with a raggedy, busted car compared to the guy with a nice luxury Mercedes with the newest and nicest features, they will not have the same connection. They're gonna be disconnected simply because of the vehicle. Well, with the bikes, that connection will always be there because the nicest bike is not gonna protect you from pouring rain versus the nicest car will not only protect you from the pouring rain, when you have heated seats and heated everything, well, that raggedy car that's falling apart might even have a working heater. Shit, the windows might even work on it. So you have now a new disconnection causing further anger. As I mentioned before, anger because of either resentment or the fact the guy's getting rained on and he's just trying to get to work. While the guy with the nice car, he's just in his best life and maybe he's not being upset, but maybe now there's something else that's angering him that another car is doing, and then the problem builds up of anger. The last two things I want to touch on when it comes to vehicle interactions for the day in, day out would be the communities too. That's the best part of why bikes are just better for society, is the community they build. Yes, there's the car community. Obviously, there always will be a type of community for cars. What I mean by this though is like breaking down, for example. When I got a flat tire on this bike, not within 5 minutes, another bike just pulled over and said, hey, you good? Are you okay? When plenty of cars passed, plenty, well, they could have helped for sure. Even a cop car passed by one time and just stared at me and kept going when I had a flat on the side of the road. But then it took till an older gentleman on a nice old Harley to pull over and say, hey, you good? Need a hand with anything? Thankfully, I had the tools to fix my problem, but if I didn't, you know, it actually stopped. Cars just don't do that because, again, everyone's in their own little bubble. And funny enough though, with this little bubble and maintenance and working on vehicles, it leads perfectly right into chapter 2. Maintenance and just general ownership of these vehicles. So in the previous short, I actually got into this, the cost of owning a bike and owning a car. And the way I went about it was, let's get a brand new intermediate bike you keep for a good while. And let's compare it to a standard average cost of a new car nowadays. So the bike was roughly $7,000, almost $8,000. And the car was roughly $45,000, $50,000. And in this short that I will reference up here, it's compared the cost of maintenance, insurance, gear, because obviously on a bike you're going to need gear, and things of that nature. Overall, the bike was significantly cheaper and the car was significantly more expensive. Go figure. But the way I see it is people nowadays don't have the money like they used to. Me as a 25-year-old here in 2025, I don't have the same purchasing power as a 25-year-old back in the early 2000s, for argument's sake. Not too long ago, but not too recent. I just don't. Having the bike is that financial freedom. I don't pay as much for a car for maintenance. I don't pay as much car for anything. If something breaks on this bike, it is significantly cheaper to fix and replace than with a car. I might completely be shit out of luck, or making car payments because said car is so expensive and I don't have $40,000 just to throw out randomly. I'll have to do payments. While with a bike, I could buy this bike again for $3,500 with little to no issues, because one, I was saving because I'm not spending money on a car, and also significantly cheaper than said car. The best way to look at it as well with these lower costs is the mental health benefit from it. It's already been well documented that nowadays mental health is on a decline. Things are more expensive, people can't do as many things, we have defundings of different programs for health, stigmatizations within communities, groups, or just general society. Well, the bike, with its lower cost of maintenance and just lower cost of ownership, does help mitigate that. I am not worried about my next payment. I'm not worried about repossession. I am not worried if I'm gonna be able to afford my next tank of gas, because my tank of gas is about $15. Try finding that in a car nowadays. A full tank gets me Seattle and back and then some for $15. It's a little over 130 miles, give or take, for me. For $15. Try finding that in a car. The mental health benefits, something like that too, is why they are just better for society. Me owning this bike is great for my health, let alone the freedom philosophies of being on a bike, the connection you feel with the vehicle, which I will get near the end, but just the mental health benefit of not stressing about owning this thing, not stressing about fixing it. Shops are not the same for bikes and cars. A bike shop, generally, they don't want to rip you off. They want you to get back out and riding. So they'll just give you, hey, here's the clear-cut cost. Hey man, you should probably get this fixed, but I'm not gonna force it on you, but I want you to know this is happening. Well, with a car, everyone knows the jokes, right? The scammy car dealer comes around and, oh, well, I'll charge for this, and that, because you know what, it's about money. Cars are not a community in that sense. They're a commodity. They are a simple accessory or an appliance for many people. While bikes, you have to kind of love them. So people who work on them also love them. So you don't want to rip off their own community, because it's all a community of, we all understand that we just want to fucking ride. I don't want to be here fixing my vehicle. So the stress, that feeling I'm not going to get ripped off, is such a load off my shoulders if I ever take it to the shop. So that's just another really great benefit of ownership, and how it does actually benefit your mental health from just general ownership of a bike. I never talked about aspects when it comes to riding for long periods of time, year round. Like, I want people to ride year round if they can, safely. It's gear, right? Obviously it's gonna rain, it's gonna be cold. Gear is where it's at, right? I have a full rain suit. I made a small short about it as well. Rain gloves, rain booties, rain suit, bone dry and comfortable. And it was rainy and a cold day, and I safely got to my destination without an ounce of water on me. So there's that. Cold weather gear, you know, it's not the coldest today for me, but usually flannels, leather jackets, hoodies will suffice. You do not need specialty ultra bike gear, Dainese. No, you don't need that. A good leather jacket, a good hoodie, you'll be warm for a good chunk of the year. Deeper winter, obviously with cars, there's a different story and whatnot. But yes, your gear is great for that stuff, but also it is great for your safety and the day in and day out of existing on a bike compared to a car, which will lead right into chapter 3, talking about the comparisons, the more 1v1 comparisons of a car, from safety to enjoyment to just general things that people don't realize about cars and bikes that are so similar yet so different. Funny enough, this is actually perfect timing right before I get to my last little chapter or section of, for me right now, riding year round. It's actually raining outside. I'm not wearing my rain gear at all, actually. I just started raining just now. But riding year round is also not as expensive as well as people want to make it out to be. At least here in Washington where I live, it gets cold and you can buy jacket and gear for your waterproof jackets, rain gear for a good affordable price. Up top, I'm gonna post the link to my reel where I talked about a full rain suit being bone dry for like dirt cheap. The suit itself is $60. Gloves, my gloves were expensive because I like nice gloves, were $130, and the rain booties were $20. And bone dry year round, no matter when it rains. Also, this is not some sponsor thing or whatever, I just love it. Chrome bags, they're fully waterproof. You can get this bag for dirt cheap. They're just all over the place. You can buy them online, or you can buy them at, like, funny enough, bicycle shops, because they're invented for bicycles. And guess what? Motorcycles are just bicycles with motors. Great little thing to have. Waterproof, nice. All my stuff stays bone dry. I wear them year round. I love these bags. But yeah, ownership too does not even have to be just like good weather. You can ride in the rain when it's not the best, even on a bike, if you invest a few dollars into it. And again, just not worry about things, right? Make your life that much easier. It is so nice not worrying about little things when you have just invested a few dollars into that gear. And now I can ride year round, and I can laugh at all the cars stuck in traffic while lane split and lane filter. When it's rainy and cold and miserable, everyone's stuck in their cars. I'm still bone dry and warm, skipping traffic still. But now I'm going to lead into the third chapter, which will be just 1v1s, like one-to-one comparisons, and just talking about that, because bikes are very different naturally, but they're even more different than I think a lot of car drivers do realize. Alrighty, now we're on for the best part, the perfect one-to-one comparisons. Exactly, no, well, if you turn the rule for this, no, just one-to-one. I'm going to start with safety, traffic, and skills building. Skills building on a bike is very important. It's an art form almost. It's not something you just do once and just never practice on. For example, when you look at things like a car, once you learn how to drive your car, you kind of don't have to practice U-turns or practice stopping or practice certain skills, right? You just learn to drive and that's it. You're good, you learn to drive and you just don't practice anymore. You just turn your brain off and follow the flow of traffic, right? You just don't have to. On a bike, it's continuous. Every day I practice maybe playing with my clutch, I practice braking, I practice U-turns, I practice skills that can go away if you don't do them. Little skills like slow speed maneuvers, I practice. You don't have to practice that in a car. On a bike, you do, every once in a while. Or you'll get those riders who've been riding for 30 years, but they can't do a U-turn. But they can sit on a highway and just sit in a straight line like a car. So that's one big thing too. Bikes are better for you and better society because they force you to pay attention, which makes you safer. A safe driver and a safe rider are two different concepts. A safe driver is a driver that practices nothing and just sits there and never does anything different. They never speed, they never aggressively do things. A safe driver is easy. A safe biker, they have to be involved with their machine. They have to give a shit to be safe, right? You can turn your brain off, but when an emergency happens, you're gonna hit someone else or cause yourself an accident. Versus practicing and being a safe rider by just skill building and constantly just trying to improve and learn more with an ever evolving hobby. So the safety of it comes from practice and a connection to your machine. You have to enjoy the bike almost if you want to learn to be good at riding, which makes you a more attentive driver or rider. Riders who give a shit or want to give a shit, they pay attention to the road. They're not texting and driving. They're not zoned out. They are paying attention. Well, in a car with all these lane assists, all these, detection systems and all that, the car does most of the driving nowadays. So you can just shut your brain off and not pay attention, and which makes you even more dangerous, but still it makes you a dangerous rider, but a safe driver, because car does all the hard parts for you as a driver. While on a bike, we don't have those safety features on a bike. You're forced to pay attention where you are in the lane. You're forced to see what's ahead of you. You're forced to maintain your speed and lane, check your blind spots, because we don't have detection systems. And if you fuck up and you mess up in this action, you're gonna hit a car, you're gonna hit a wall, you're gonna do what I did and bump into these like little riser things that keep cars from going into other lanes on accident and cause an accident. So a safe rider is a rider that pays attention 24/7, while a safe driver is just a driver that just shuts their brain off and does the norm. But that's the main difference between that one-to-one. Another thing that a lot of people don't realize when it comes to cars and bikes is their power to weight ratios. This Harley Davidson is not that fast in the bike, where it only goes like 130 miles per hour banging off its limiter, maybe 140 if I'm going downhill. It's a slow bike. In a car form, that's a reasonably quick, fast car. And this is only $3,500 used, versus a car like that, you're gonna have to pay a little more money for it. The reason I mention that too, because is when you're getting into bikes and you want to be better, you need to understand those things, because a 1000cc sport bike is like having a 1500 horsepower car. And a lot of people don't realize that. When I want people to do better for society by ditching a car and buying a bike, I do not mean buy a liter bike and live off that for most people, because that is like dailing a 1500 horsepower car. I don't know if you guys have ever driven a car, been in one like that fast, but those are not toys. Those are not things you use daily for fun. They are very attentive acquiring, because it's easy to crash them or just go too fast on accident because they're so powerful. But one last thing I do want to get into when it comes to this little finalization of like one-to-ones, everyone's biggest concern: theft, stealing shit. Yes, it is so much easier to steal this bike than it is to steal a car. That is a risk. Naturally, you're always going to have these kinds of risks when it comes to ownerships, but it's a risk I feel some people should be willing to take on, because if you get more, because another thing with these risks, it's brought on so nicely because that community that I mentioned earlier, they want to help each other out. If someone steals your bike, they kind of like, okay, hey, what's the bike look like? What can I do to help? Let me put the word out for you. When it comes to getting your car stolen, back to the societal like connections, oh man, that really sucks. Put a police report, good luck. Buy that receipt again, I'm not gonna help you with that. And that's one major difference now. It's the one-to-one, right? The community gives a shit when your bike gets stolen, versus in a car, it's just, well, that sucks for you, better luck next time. And this is why, society-wise, bikes are just better for society in almost every form of fashion. Naturally, there will not always be an easy, like an old person riding a bike, or a youngin' riding a bike, or a family of 7. I get that. Those are realistic things. But if you can ditch the car for most trips, because let's be honest here in the United States, most car rides are single occupancy, which means they can fit on one bike, or maybe 2 people, which can fit on one bike most of the time. So when you look at a bike, when you think about what bikes are doing for society, when that annoying rider comes by on a straight pipe bike, which is annoying too, don't get me wrong, or when you see this person who's just, like me, a psychopath, year-round riding in the pouring rain, you know what? You should look into it. You should actually be interested. I want people to ride more, because the community, the mental health benefits, the cost-saving benefits, the enjoyment of life you get because of bikes. They're better for society, and they're better for you overall. I really don't know how to really end this video. I don't know how to, like, you know, call to action or anything. But if you did like it, you know, it's not the best video. I'm still learning this. But also, please like, subscribe, give me some comments on what you think and feel. And if you're interested in riding, I have other videos, mostly shorts, explaining different concepts like practicing slow speed maneuvers or just lane splitting and lane filtering, why they should be legalized. If the video is complete dog shit, which I'm not expecting to be perfect, please let me know. I want to improve. I want to make more videos like this, and it's my first time doing it. So yeah, thanks for watching the video if you did make it this far, and if you liked it, again, like and subscribe, and thanks for watching. It's a fun little video.